Hi and welcome to Rough Gear Review. Today we're going to be doing the Kushnapup conversion to our Saiga 12 shotgun. We're going to start out with just your standard Saiga 12. Here in California, we of course, these come equipped with a bullet button. And we've already done some of the work to this gun. We actually already converted it, took it back apart. It's going to be a little quicker for us to show you how to do the full conversion. Let's get started. So here we have our standard Saiga 12. First thing you're going to do, you remove the fore end. There's just a screw that holds it into place here. Remove that screw. Remove the sling. You're going to use it again. Once the screw's off, that just pops out. You're going to put that to the side because you're not going to be using that again. For the stock, you're going to have to remove the screws. The first thing you do, take off the top cover, remove the spring, and what you're going to have in here is a screw there, a screw here, and on the bottom you'll have another screw. Remove those, and your stock's going to come out. Now on the stock, we're going to be reusing this butt pad. So remove the two screws, remove the butt pad, also remove this sling, and set that aside. You're going to be using it again in the build. Once you have the stock off, there are two tangs back here. They protrude out. You're going to need to cut those off in order to do the Kushnapup conversion. It's real easy. Take a hacksaw, if that's all you have, cut them off, clean them up, and you're good to go. The stock from Kushnapup, even to my surprise, is actually much better built than I thought it would be. The plastic doesn't feel cheap, it's sturdy, there's a lot of ribs in here, it's not going to flex, pretty well built. We were going to put rails on this, so before we did our build, we picked up some rails from Ergo Grip. These are the 10-slot rails. The reason we picked these up is when the stock shows up, it's going to have two pre-drilled holes where it's ready to put a rail on. The holes are about 2 inches apart. We ended up picking up the Ergo ones because they have a hole and then a slot, so they're a little adjustable. We put them on, some Loctite, the nuts in the back. The nuts that come with these won't work, but we just picked some up at the hardware store. Don't have to put the rails on, but if you do, put those on first. Don't want to be taking the gun apart again. Next step you're going to do is you're going to take your original sling from the front, from the fore end, and you're going to mount it here. Hardware is going to come with it. Just a screw and a nut. And there you have your sling for the rear. This is the trigger linkage. You're going to put this together. Very simple. You know, the rod, this T-shaped part, going to be this little plastic piece, which is what's going to rest in your trigger, screw and a nut. And you're going to have these two nuts that are going to hold this in place. Once you put it together and you install it, adjust them for your trigger pull, and then use Loctite on these so they don't move again. On the housing, in the back here is a hole right there. That is where this linkage is going to slide into, and the front will rest here. When you have this up front, this is the trigger. It's going to come from Kushnapup. Simply slip that over. You can take your spring, put the spring over these teeth, It just takes a little finesse and you'll get it over there. Once that's done, you put your trigger in place, but you're going to notice that the spring needs to go in between these ribs. Otherwise, it's just going to bind on you. And there you have it. Springs in between these ribs. It'll work just fine. We originally tried to put a washer or something in there because we were afraid this was going to bounce down. It never did. Putting the washer in didn't work either. But we've already test fired this gun a lot. We haven't had an issue with it at all. So I wouldn't worry about that. Your next step now. This is the sling from the buttstock. The screw and the plate here are going to come in your kit. You're going to reuse the original sling. This needs to fit in up here in the front to give you your front sling mount. Once you have that in place, I'm going to go ahead and take the right side of the Kushnapup, start to assemble it. This is held together by 5 screws. First 2 screws are these flat top ones. Small screw goes into the pistol grip and in the foregrip. You really just need a Phillips screwdriver, hacksaw, and a standard screwdriver to put this kit together. Next 2 screws, a longer one, a shorter one. Longer one's going to go in the rear, shorter one goes up front. If you happen to knock the nuts out, just hold them back in place. Now on this rear screw, right there, you don't want to tighten it too tight. If you do, it's going to make your trigger bind up. So I put it together, double check my trigger, make sure that's working fine. You can see how this manipulates. Trigger pull is not going to be as crisp, but it's a bullpup. This is the screw that's going to go through here. It's going to hold this stock to the actual Saiga 12. Now we come to the last part. This is the third part of the kit. This is going to cover the receiver here in the back. When you put this on, just bear in mind your bolt release lever here needs to protrude through this little slot. Once that's on, this is held together by 3 screws. Now the original buttstock, I'm going to go ahead and install next. Get these 3 screws down. There you go. This is the original buttstock off the Saiga and the original screws. Simply screw that together. And you're done. Well, at least you're done for the basic build. And that's it. That's your basic build for the Kushnapup. Now, a couple of things. One, if you're in California, you have to have a bullet button on this. The bullet button that comes with these Saigas when you buy them in California is this one right here. This is way too large for this stock to work. To make it work, because this is where the bullet button would be, you would have to cut out that part of the stock. Now, a $300 stock, I decided that wasn't worth it. So what we did is we went with the Radlock. Still makes the gun legal in California. You have to use a tool to manipulate this. But as you can see, it pretty much just replaces where the original one was. It's not a big block that covers it. Nice thing when you buy it from Radlock, it's going to come with another piece here. This is another lever. If you leave California, you move, then you can install this, just in case you lose your original. Really easy to install. It takes a couple minutes. Punch it out, remove the original, reinstall this one with the spring, just like the directions tell you. It literally takes 3 minutes to put this together. Nice thing is, you don't have to cut your stock. And especially if you left California with this, you went ahead and took off that big huge bullet button, now you're going to have a big hole in your stock anyways. So I'd suggest picking up the Radlock for this.